Hi everyone and welcome to Studio de Sol. My name is Lina and in today's video I'm gonna show you how I made these earrings using translucent polymer clay and Mokume-gane polymer clay technique. Here's what I'm using in today's tutorial. It's the translucent polymer clay from Cernit. Also, I'm going to be using the silver foil and some alcohol inks. I already pre-conditioned the clay, then I'm flattening it on a pasta machine on a third or second level of thickness, so I'm not making it too thick or too thin. After that, I'm dividing this into 5 parts, not necessarily equal size, but approximately. After that, on top of each piece of clay, I'm adding on the silver foil. I'm making sure that it's stuck to the surface of the clay, and after that I start adding on alcohol inks. I want to go for a brighter and lighter tone of the purple, so first I'm adding on the white alcohol ink and then adding on purple, like little by little, to control the color. In the same way, I'm adding on the color on the other pieces of clay. I also decided to go with a little bit of the blue. And when the clay is covered with alcohol ink, I'm letting it dry. To speed up the process, you also can use the hair dryer. And here, mostly all of the pieces are dry. The ones that are not fully dry, I'm just applying them together so the clay can soak up that leftover pigment on the surface. I am just piling them up on top of each other, rotating the colors, and after that slicing the piece in half, attaching 2 parts on top of each other and letting it sit for maybe another 10 minutes for the excess inks to soak into the clay. When I see that the color kind of got soaked in and dried out, I start rolling that clay. When I flattened it enough, I cut this in half and attaching 2 pieces on top of each other again. and rolling them. So I'm doing that a few more times, and after that I decided to add some stripes on the surface, but it's not going to be as visible because the clay is mostly translucent and I don't have that much pigment in it. But if you're going to be using the same Mokume-gane technique with the different color palette, it's definitely going to leave more of the pattern on the clay. And after that, I'm going over again with the rolling pin, and using the flexible blade, I start removing little pieces from the top of this slab of the clay, trying to control the thickness of every slice, but sometimes it's getting hard, so some of them might be a little bit thinner than the other, but that is okay. And when I have left the even bottom layer, I'm just leaving it like that and flatten it using the rolling pin. And after that, cutting out the shapes. With the sliced off pieces, I'm just attaching all of them together, kind of creating my own pattern. Also fixing that thickness problem, like if the piece is too thin on one side, I'm attaching it on top of another so it kind of evens out. After that, I'm going over with the rolling pin again and cutting out the shapes. And also here I got quite a lot of the leftovers, so I'm just pushing them all together, slicing and forming another slab of clay. It's gonna be the same color palette, but just a little bit of a different pattern. And here how all of my pieces are looking like before and after baking. As you can see, the color got more saturated. I lost most of the blue that I had before baking, but because the clay is translucent, I got more of that foil exposed, like in the different layers. So then I'm just sanding the edges and adding on holes, and after that I'm adding on the epoxy resin. The next day, when the resin is cured, I'm adding the chrome marker on the edges. Then also I'm adding the fastenings and findings. For the stud bases, I like to do a little bit of the grip on the surface, on the back surface of the earrings. So I'm scratching it with the craft knife, applying some glue on the stud base and attaching it to the earring. And after that, I'm leaving it to dry for 24 hours, and here's my final result. I love the Mokume-gane technique. It's every time you do it, it gives you different results, and it's a very cool technique, I think, to use with the polymer clay, with different kinds of polymer clay, mix and match and see how the results turned out. If you like this video, please share with me in the comments down below, and we see each other in the next video.